Hi, good day to all of us. I'm Johanna P. Agudo. I'll be your discussant for the topic of some authorities in education and their contributions. Here are the proponents of my topic. Erik Erikson, B.F. Skinner, Albert Bandura, Lewis Madison Thurman, and Brufen Brenner. They are the 5 philosophers that we are going to discuss.
Erik Erikson. The theories of Erik Erikson. Erik Erikson was born in Frankfurt, Germany on June 15, 1902. His birth came under unusual circumstance. His mother, Carla Abrahamsen, was a young Jewish girl. Her husband, Valdemar Salomensen, which involved a criminal activity. While Valdemar has gone, Carla had an affair and became pregnant with Erikson. She'd never whose Erik's father was. 4 months after Erikson was born, her mother died.
Erik Erikson divided lifespan into 8 stages, each of which involves a psychosocial crisis, whereas personality is shaped by how individuals deal with psychosocial crisis. Psychosocial is the description and the relation between individual emotional needs and the social environment around him or her. According to this theory, at critical ages, people experience development of crisis, specific complex whose resolution prepares the way for the next stage. Infancy 0 to 1 year. Trust versus mistrust. If needs are dependably met, infants develop a sense of basic trust. Toddlerhood 1 to 2-year-old. Autonomy versus shame. Toddlers learn to exercise will and do things for themselves or they doubt their abilities. Preschooler 3 to 5 years old. Initiative versus guilt. Preschoolers learn to initiate tasks and carry out plans or they feel guilty about efforts to be independent. Next, elementary school 6-year-old to puberty. Competence versus inferiority. Children learn the pleasure of applying themselves to tasks or they feel inferior. Adolescents 10 years into 20s. Identity versus rule confusion. Teenagers work at defining a sense of self by testing rules and then integrating them to form a single identity or they become confused about who they are. Young adulthood 20s to 40s. Intimacy versus isolation. Young adults struggle to form close relationships and to gain the capacity for intimate love or they feel socially isolated. Middle adulthood, 40s to 60s. Generativity versus stagnation. The middle age discover a sense of contributing to the world, usually through family and work, or they may feel a lack of purpose. Late adulthood, late 60s and up. So integrity versus despair. When reflecting on his or her life, the older adult may feel a sense of satisfaction or failure. Borges Frederick Skinner. No other figure in the history of psychology has contributed so much to the science and the theory of behavior in psychology as a whole. It's B.F. Skinner. The systematic experiment research and learning in early 1930s laid the foundation for natural science of behavior which evolved in a unified discipline called behavior analysis. As the early 21st century, it comprises 3 branches. An experimental branch called the experimental analysis of behavior, a conceptual branch called bioradical behaviorism, and an applied branch called the applied behavior analysis. B.F. Skinner was responsible for handling behavior analysis as a result of his individual research method and apparatus for studying a behavior of organisms as subject matter in its own right. He was also instrumental in promoting a conceptual and theoretical analysis of behavior through writing and a philosophy and the science of behavior for a complex of topics such as freedom and dignity. Moreover, Skinner's discovery of basic behavior such as reinforcement, extinction, discrimination, and behavior shaping in the animal laboratory led him to suggest education to a real-world problem such as education, treatment of the developmentally disabled, clinical psychology, drug abuse, and the design of cultures. As a result, he is indirectly responsible for the successful behavior principles and wide range of behavioral problems. Albert Bandura Social Cognitive Theory. This is Albert Bandura. He is a Canadian-American psychologist who studied how people learn by observing both the actions of others and the consequences of those actions. And his early career, Bandura was critically behaviorist, a theory that asserts all learning is based on conditioning, whereby environmental stimuli shapes our actions. For Bandura, a theory that denies that thoughts can regulate actions does not lend itself readily to the explanation of complex human behavior. Bandura proposed a social cognitive theory that focuses on people having agency to make choices and attain goals. Concepts involving social influences, achieving outcomes, and self-influences as part of dynamic systems that are in constant interaction with one another. Specific concepts such as self-efficacy, agency, and self-regulated learning are fundamental in social cognitive theory. We will look at two main ideas for Albert Bandura. First, modeling. The process in which one or more individuals or other entities serve as examples that a child will emulate. Models are often parents, other adults, or children, but they may also be symbolic. Second, self-efficacy. For Bandura, people's beliefs about their abilities have a profound effect on those abilities. Ability is not fixed properly. There is a huge variability in how you perform. People who have a self-efficacy bounce back from failure. They approach things in terms of helping them rather than worrying about what can go wrong. So Bandura identifies four sources of self-efficacy. First, the mastery. It is our own personal and direct experiences. Second, physiological arousal that affects self-efficacy. Third, the vicarious experiences where someone else models accomplishment. And lastly, social persuasion. It can lead to momentary increase in self-efficacy.